Today, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told CNN that she did not know how badly her husband Paul had been injured when Capitol Police woke her up last week at her D.C. apartment. An intruder had smashed Paul Pelosi in the skull with a hammer during that attack. As her husband recovers following emergency surgery, Speaker Pelosi is also trying to hold on to her party's 8-seat majority in the U.S. House. We want to bring back our insiders, Jerry Crawford and Mike Mahaffey. Jerry, let's start with you. So the 3rd congressional district in Iowa, the new 3rd, as it's been redistricted here, Cindy Axne is trying to get a 3rd term, and she's been targeted hard by Republicans and a lot of money.
And a lot of money. It has been a really tough race. And Ann Selzer's poll indicates that Zach Nunn is at least even going into Election Day tomorrow. It's been about as much a slugfest as I've seen in one of these congressional races in Iowa. And we should quickly mention that a lot of polling places have changed, and so people need to check and see what their polling place is before they go tomorrow. We went downtown at noon today, and it was slammed, and I'm hearing that from around the state.
It was like that this weekend as well. Mike Mahaffey, let's bring you in. Look at that, the new 1st congressional district, which used to be the 2nd primarily. Now it's the 1st. So we're talking about the southeast quadrant of our state here. Marionette Miller Meeks, the Republican incumbent, going up against University of Iowa law professor Christina Bohannon. Fairly close voter registration numbers there as well. How do you assess that district, this new district?
I thought that the debate between Congresswoman Miller Meeks and State Representative Christina Bohannon was a very good debate. I think they're both good candidates. That district, the new redistricted 1st congressional district, is slightly more Republican. I think it will probably be fairly close, but I would certainly put my money on Miller Meeks.
Jerry, as you look nationally, as the Democrats try to hold on to the House, we have that split 50-50 in the U.S. Senate here. What are you watching nationally that we should pay attention to tomorrow night, perhaps outside our borders?
Yeah, I think we're going to get the best clue, not from inside Iowa, but from outside Iowa on what might happen in Iowa. And that's because Virginia, we've got 4 congressional races in Virginia. They will report an hour before Iowa starts to report. We're going to already have some inkling as to which way the winds are blowing. Indiana, there's a congressional district in Indiana that we'll be watching. And that can also tell us that. People forget this every 2 years, and I tend to forget it myself. We're not going to know much tomorrow night. You know, you might as well just realize that.
For ultimate party control.
For ultimate party control. I mean, Pennsylvania takes forever with the way they count their ballots. Georgia could have a recount. So, you know, people get irritated when they realize they're not going to go to bed knowing the results. Right. Well, get used to it.
Yeah, deal with it. Mike Mahaffey, what are you looking for? How will you know early on if there is this red wave?
Well, I think what Jerry said, Virginia, also New York. There's quite a few congressional districts in New York. There's even one in Rhode Island that the Republicans think they can pick up. Look, Dave, if television stations ran ads like politicians do, we'd be seeing an ad that says Dave Price and Joe Biden, wrong for Iowa. Okay, because the fact of the matter is, everybody's running against Joe Biden. And the number you need to know in Iowa is that President Biden is at 35% approval rating.
I think I've already had more than my fair share of appearing in ads, thank you, this much. What do you make about how much even these legislative races where they are saying so-and-so is basically a Joe Biden clone and a rubber stamp when they will have absolutely nothing to do with federal matters like that?
I think my friend Mr. Mahaffey might even agree with me on this. We have too many elections. We have them too often. We spend too much money on them. And now it's permeated down to the level of the Iowa House. I wouldn't even deign to repeat what they're saying in some of these commercials. It's just absolutely ridiculous, turning ministers into evil. I mean, the whole thing is just stupid.
I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. All right, one other thing we want to talk about later, and that's some races that don't get a lot of attention, but perhaps deserve a little extra attention on election night. We'll do that in a few minutes when we come back.